Well, good morning, everybody. It is November 2nd, 2025, and I'm just on a trail close to home. It's the same trail that I walked on yesterday. I walked 18 miles. Today I'm going to do 18 or 20. I don't know yet, probably 20. And it's kind of cold. It's like 31 degrees, but I hate wearing a hat. Because it hurts, because I wear glasses, so it hurts my eyes. No, it hurts my ears. And so anyway, I'm going to I brought my hat just in case. But yesterday was really rainy and dreary. I should have taken a video technically yesterday, but I had an exhausting week. And last week I walked that 50 miles. And so far, I've still walked 58 miles this week, or something like that. So today, let's see, 58. So it'll still be about a 78-mile week. And work has just been really busy, very exciting, and very good. I'm so pleased. But lots of training, new employees, and so just busy. But anyway, today is a beautiful sunny day. So I'm hoping to show you prettier views. And I'm not going a new place. I don't have any new information. So I thought I would just share some random thoughts about walking and a little bit about myself so that you can kind of better understand why I want to walk all these miles and why I encourage other people to walk and walk and walk as well. So anyway, I hope you enjoy it, and let's go for a walk. Oh yes, and the other difference between yesterday and today is that yesterday I started walking at about the same time, but yesterday it was super dark. And now today at the beginning of my walk, we had daylight saving time go off or end. And so now today the sun is back. Tonight I'll be really depressed about that, I'm sure. But it's sure nice to have a walk begin with the sunrise again. So I'm really loving that as an early morning walker. For those of you who get your walks in at night, and in the evening, my deepest condolences. So we'll start at the beginning so that you understand my motivation. I was born, my motivation for walking. Well, in general, I'm pretty motivated in general for anything. Okay, so I was born January 1st, 1976, but I wasn't the first baby in the hospital. I wasn't born until I think I was the first baby in my hospital, Lutheran hospital, I think. No, I don't know if that's true. I think so. And so I was born at 10 a.m. But I was not the first baby in Des Moines. And so I got no recognition. And while I didn't know it then, I think I would feel like that was the story of my life, that I just feel like I don't get a lot of recognition. And I probably do, and probably have my whole life, but I'm just one of those people that need a lot of recognition. And I don't pride myself of that. That's just who I am. But anyway, so I was a bicentennial baby and a New Year's baby. But I resented that because for the first, whatever years of my life, everyone called me a New Year's baby, and I didn't appreciate that. And even as an adult, I kind of hate my birthday. It's a day where no one does anything, nothing's open, and it's always during Christmas break. And so, none of my classmates ever acknowledged my birthday. Only one year did a teacher acknowledge my birthday, and that's because she had the same birthday. So anyway, And also it's really close to Christmas. So I had to wait a whole year for like presents because it was so close to Christmas, and then I would only get one present anyway for my birthday usually, because that's just how we did it in my family. So anyway, that was the beginning, my crappy birthday. So yesterday everything was gray and not pretty, and I'll show you a video that I took yesterday of one pretty tree, but today things are a lot prettier with the sun shining. This was not a good year for the pretty leaves changing, but look at that tree. It is a beauty. So on top of that crappy birthday, I was also the middle child. So I had a sister who was older than me by 4 years, and then a darling baby brother. And my sister was beautiful and had long, beautiful hair, and she was brilliant, but very sullen. And she kind of hated me. And my little brother was just this darling little boy who was a little less than 2 years younger than me. So I was in the middle. I was very emotional, very sensitive. And on top of that, I have still misophonia, which is where you're really sensitive to sounds like chewing and just any background sound. So I kind of was a little bit difficult to live with, and I didn't really learn how to deal with that or manage all that. Everyone just tried to ignore me. But I was kind of a talented little girl. I was a really good singer and a dancer, and I was 3 years old when my mom started me in dance, and then when I got a bit older I started gymnastics, and I really loved that. So and the highlight of my childhood was when I got a part in Annie at Charlie's Showplace in Des Moines, and that was the summer before third grade. And that was just amazing that I got a part in that. I wasn't Annie. Of course, I was passed over for the lead, but I still loved that. That was the best summer of my life up until that point. Well, and for years, that was just a great experience. So prior to that summer, when I was in Annie, we had moved from an acreage in or around Easter Lake, where I was going to Carlisle public schools. Well, we moved to Pleasant Hill, and I went to Pleasant Hill Elementary School that year for second grade, and had Mrs. Reed, who was the worst teacher ever, and she didn't like me simply because I wrote in Danielian, which is a precursor to learning cursive. So they teach their kids Danielian in second grade and then in third cursive. But they didn't do that in Pleasant Hill. And my Danielian absolutely drove her crazy, and she didn't like me. So anyway, I just want to put that out there. So then I did Annie. I felt like I was famous. I felt like it was so awesome. But then I transferred to Edmonds Academy of Fine Arts, which was a fine arts elementary magnet school in Des Moines. And so Annie was over. I started that school as a new student. And a girl named Keely Smith was just cast in Annie at the Playhouse. And so she got all of this recognition for being in Annie. And no one even knew I was in Annie. I mean, I told them, but it didn't matter because I wasn't in it currently. So I had the best summer of my life, and I got to school and no one cared. And they just cared about Keely Smith. And she deserved recognition for that, absolutely. And she's a very nice person. But again, I did not get credit. Okay, but then ask yourself, who got the lead in our 5th grade production of Pinocchio? Me, yours truly. So Anyway, so then after elementary school, I went to junior high, and I did get a lot of solos and, you know, all of that. But gosh, junior high is so hard, and everyone is so mean. And I am so sensitive that I just couldn't handle it. And eventually, you know, when people don't like me, I just try harder to get them to like me. And that is a huge fault. Don't do that. If someone doesn't like you, that is their problem, and move on. But I've just been like that my whole life. So finally, I just gave up on my dreams of becoming a Broadway star and thought, forget this. I can't handle the criticism. I'm way too sensitive. I'm just not cut out for the world. So I like went the opposite way, and I just became a huge snot and snob. And I ensured that people didn't like me. I'm going to ask the Army Corps of Engineers if they can salt or sand this. This is treacherous. Someone is going to fall. So after all that, I just coasted. I just played it safe. I got engaged to and married to my high school sweetheart, with whom I had absolutely nothing in common, and became a teacher because, like, anyone can do that. And when I was encouraged to get my master's degree by a colleague, I got my master's degree, and that was good. I learned to be a much better teacher. And then I was encouraged again by good friends to go on to get my PhD. So in 2003, I got my master's. In 2012, I started my PhD program part-time while I still taught. And then in 2015, I resigned from teaching and decided to work on my PhD full-time. So then I did various assistantships and taught at Iowa State and Drake. Oh, but I did forget something that shaped my motivation. I forgot a whole section. So this path is so hilly, so I apologize for my heavy breathing. Okay, so one thing that really shaped my worldview, I don't know if it's a worldview, my perspective, is that my sister died when I was 20, and she was 24, and she died from blood clots, from pulmonary embolism due to the birth control pill that she was taking. And, you know, there's a thing called survivor's guilt. And it was really tragic that she died. She was just finishing her master's degree in speech pathology at the University of Texas in Austin. And she was real brilliant, really beautiful. And it was just so tragic. She had spent her whole life in school and never even got to have children or get married or have, you know, live, like have a career. It was really, really sad. It really affected our whole family. And I think that really drives me to make the most of my life. So even though I kind of coasted into education, I tried to be the best teacher that I could. And anytime I feel like I'm not doing my absolute best, I am really hard on myself, and it just eats me up. So I can honestly say, like, every night that I go to bed, I feel like I did as much as I could that day and that I did my best. So I taught for 5 or 6 years at Hoyt Middle School in Des Moines, and we lived kind of over there. But in 2005, we moved to Altoona because I'd had both my children by then, and we just kind of needed a bigger house and just a change. And so we moved to Altoona, and I had taken 2 years off to be with my kids while they were really little, and so I wasn't teaching. And I started to go to the Altoona campus and work out and take their classes. And I've never been a runner because I didn't have the lungs But as I was taking those classes, but I'd always admired runners, and I always thought, geez, if I could run all the time, I could eat whatever I wanted, which is my motivation. Actually, that is my overriding motivation to be fit, and to do all this walking, is to be able to eat. I love to eat. I'm kind of a obsessive compulsive person, and so that kind of goes along with it, just eating. Well, and being a human. But so I started taking those classes, and I noticed, well, wait, I do have lungs. I can keep my breath in these classes. So I started running, and on the treadmill, and I remember the first week I had run 10 miles that week, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And then I heard and learned about the Chicago Marathon. So I signed up to run the Chicago Marathon that next fall. And that's kind of where my running career started. So I've run over, those 10 or whatever years, because I started when I was 39. No, that's not right. Yeah. No. I started running when I was 30. And in that time I ran, I don't know how many half marathons and dam to dam races, but I think I've run 13 or 14 marathons, and now I've walked one, the Des Moines Marathon, and so going to the Chicago Marathon, having the courage to go to Chicago, navigate that city, get to the starting line, was a huge deal for me. And then running that marathon, it changed my life. It made me feel like I could do anything. And before that, I felt like I couldn't do anything, that I couldn't handle anything, that everything was too much, too stressful, too scary. And so running really changed my life. And so it's really helped put in perspective that nothing is too difficult when you can run 26 miles. So that has really helped change my drive and my perspective on life too, because everything always seems like it's such a big deal, and we ourselves feel like we're such a big deal, and really nothing is a big deal, and nothing matters, and neither do we. And we're on this earth for a very short time, and this is it. So if our perspective is way out of whack, it's really going to affect our happiness and our well-being. I just wanted to show the houseboats are gone for the year. I'm at the Saylorville Marina. When I was getting my PhD, I did not run any marathons, but I did keep running 20 miles a week or something. And then, so when I graduated, I think in 2020, I started running more. And then in 2021, I signed up for the Sundance to Spearfish Marathon, which starts in Wyoming and then you end in Spearfish, South Dakota. And it was beautiful, but I just didn't do very well, which isn't a big deal. But also I noticed I had gained about 12 to 15 pounds running, which didn't make any sense, but I realized it was just raising my cortisol levels so much that it was causing me to just carry a lot of inflammation and extra weight. So finally, I decided I just can't run anymore. And so I turned to walking, and then I thought, I felt very inferior. I felt bad that I wasn't a runner anymore. And then I thought, well, why don't I just walk, long distances? And boy, did that rejuvenate me. And it gave me a new purpose and a new goal. And I thought, well, if I can't run all these miles, then I'll walk them. And
lap 9, 14:08.
My philosophy is kind of, if I can, then I should. or if you can, then you should. And so I can walk all these miles. I can't run them. I could never run all these miles, but I can walk them, and so I should. I won't be able to do this forever, and hopefully, you know, I'm not creating a lot of detrimental damage to my body. I don't really feel like I am, as opposed to running that was really hurting my hips. So I guess I feel like these are adventures that I can take, even though I live in Iowa and I can't hike all these, you know, famous hikes yet in my life. Although I do have a huge hike planned next September, and I'll share that at the beginning of 2026. But I just feel like this is a way I can prove to myself that I can still walk all these miles, that I can still be fit. It allows me to eat more food than I should. And it gives me a sense of adventure to walk all these paths and to walk all these miles. Someone asked how I walk so fast, and I think you just heard it said I went like that mile was 14:05, and I do normally walk you know, between a 14-minute and 14.5-minute mile. But if you get me in a race or any situation like that, I explained in another video, I'm like in fourth gear. I just am so competitive. I don't know, switch into a new gear, and I just walk so much faster. And they said that too, like when you run a marathon, they say don't worry about your practice pace, because in the actual marathon you'll run faster. But I didn't. I don't know, I was about the same. Except one marathon I did really well, but I ran it with a friend, and I think that's why I just did better. I kept up her pace the whole time. And that's the other thing too, is when you're in a race and you first begin and you're so excited, you walk a really fast pace, and once you have that pace set, it's almost difficult to slow down. And so that's just something too. Set the pace right from the very beginning, and you'll keep up the rest of the time. Okay, and you know, another reason that I walk so fast is because, like last Saturday when I walked the 50 miles in 12 hours, my goal was 48 miles. You know, and without that goal, I couldn't have met it or exceeded it. So I have to set goals for myself so that I know what I want to achieve, and then I try to have in my whole life as much integrity as possible. I do what I say, and I say what I do, you know. And I said I wanted to do 48 miles, and so that's what I did. If I would have fallen short, I mean, I did 50, but that's neither here nor there. But if I wouldn't have set a goal, I wouldn't have walked so fast, because why should I? I have no goal. I have no direction. You know, and if I didn't think I could make 48. And so I was willing to settle for 45. And so I gave myself a little bit of leeway in my head, but I felt so good all day, I just kept going. And got 50. So that's why you really need to set goals, or I do for myself. I really have to, so that I can know what I'm setting out to achieve. So that's just a little bit of advice. You know, you're not going to go a certain speed if that's not your goal to go, you know. And so be clear with yourself and do what you say you're going to do. This YouTube channel has helped me do that, because I'm not only accountable to myself, but I'm accountable to you. And I first and foremost do this for myself. I don't have, you know, a ton of followers, so obviously, if I'm not just content with, documenting my life for myself, I'm going to be really disappointed. But for the few of you who do enjoy my channel, I feel accountable to you. And I want to, show you, how I'm doing my life. I watch people on YouTube all the time and I find them really fascinating and I learn from them. And so I'm so honored that some of you follow me, and I think that's just great, and it really means a lot to me. So I want to make clear that no one made me feel inferior when I became a walker. That just came from within. No one, really made me feel like they weren't giving me recognition. That just came from within. I'm not a victim to all these people who made me feel this way. We can easily be our own worst enemy, and our own insecurities can make us see the world in a different way, and in a way that isn't real. So, just get out of your own way and live your life for yourself, and you'll get everything you want. It's really easy to blame other people for your problems, but it gets you nowhere, because there's nothing you can do about those people. So when you look in the mirror and you blame yourself for your problems, that's a huge relief, or it was for me, because I can control myself. That's the only person I can control. And so it's really important to take control of your life and blame the only person you can, which is you. And what does that have to do with endurance walking? Well, because I have to control the narrative in my head. I can't be a victim of circumstance. I can't make excuses for myself. I have to get up in the morning, no matter what, and get my walk in because I said I would. And I'm capable of doing that. And if I don't want to, there's no one to blame but myself. And everyone has struggles in life, a lot more than me. We can either be victims and blame everybody else, or we can pull up our big girl pants and make an incredible life
Lap
for
12,
ourselves.
1419.
So, that's just the narrative that I have in my head. And that's what gets me up every day, and that's what keeps me going. And the more you walk, the better you'll get, and the faster you'll go. Here's that tree today, but it's kind of in the shade. Well, it got really hot, even though it's not that warm, but the sun is so nice, and there's not a cloud in the sky. I think we're gonna go to Ledges State Park today and look at the leaves and take a drive by the High Trestle Bridge and just enjoy the afternoon. But anyway, so this concludes my video of why I do all these miles, walk all these miles. And so I hope you enjoyed it. And if you didn't, I hope you turned it off way sooner than this, because I'd hate to ruin your life. But anyway, thank you so much for walking with me, and I'll see you next week.